Welcome to the Utah Football Fans Podcast. Please like, subscribe, and share. And as always, go Utes.
I mean, yeah, I feel like we need to react to the Vegas Bowl, but
Go for it. Rand, give us your thoughts right now, right off the top. What are you thinking?
Well, that was one of the most frustrating games I've ever had to watch. I felt like banging my head against the wall the entire game, screaming into a pillow. It was so frustrating, and it's hard because I think we tried to keep a positive attitude all year long, considering everything that was going on with the team, all the injuries that we had to deal with, everything. But for it to end like that, it was like I couldn't even keep the positivity anymore. It was all out the window. It was so incredibly frustrating. And yes, Gary was very pissed. We were all pissed.
True.
Anyone watching that game was pissed. You know, there's all the viral memes of Whittingham like just pissed off the whole time, and that's how we all felt. I really don't know how much detail we want to go into it with, but it was so frustrating to watch. So frustrating. I guess
That's
we'll
it. Go, James. You got. I know you got stuff to say.
Yeah, I couldn't. I mean, how tactful do I want to be in this? Unbelievably disappointed. I mean, we have an entire month to prepare. Guys are coming back for the game. Barnes is coming back. There's a lot of things stirring about JJ. The three of us, we knew he was gone way before then. But the fact that he stuck it out, he comes back. Now, he got hurt in the game, but you have an entire month to prepare, and that's the showing. I mean, it was just, I know the offense has been bad all year, but that was just next level. I couldn't believe what I'm seeing. I think we had 10 passing yards at halftime. I mean, I'm just watching every other bowl game, right? I've watched every other bowl game, and you can't tell me we can't do a 5-yard comeback route, a slant to get us something moving. It was just ugly. From the play call was terrible. The quarterback play was awful. I'll just say it, right? Like, I think that to this point, we all know. I wish Barnes absolutely nothing but the best going forward. But this season was just painful in so many aspects. I'm so tired of talking about the third, the fourth, the fifth string quarterback and who's going to start. And I just got so sick of talking about it. I'm so glad that it's over. Honestly, if I'm being honest, I'm really, really glad that the season's over. It was a hard season, and for that to be the way that it ends against Northwestern, who, let's be really honest, their offense was no better than our offense. That's how ugly this game was. And for it to come down, and Bryn said it. I'll give Bryn all the credit in the world. When their guy got hurt, Bryn said, she goes, he's going to come back, and he's going to lead a game-winning drive. And 5 seconds later, the guy comes back in the game, throws a dime, touchdown, and then we get the ball, and I don't think there's a single Utah fan out there that thought we're going to go down and score. I mean, I know that we kind of moved the ball a little bit, and Gary's screaming at the TV that we need to preserve our timeouts, and he was right, because odds are we're going to have to try and stop them. We don't preserve our timeouts. They stop us. Game over. It was one of the most frustrating games I've ever watched. Glad it's over. Glad the season's kind of done. We can move on, talk about all the other stuff. But boy, it was painful. It was bad. And all the Utah fans that traveled and were there, I've talked to some of you. You have my sincerest apologies. I can't imagine the 6 hours each way, the money, the time, right before Christmas to go see that effort. You're better fans than I am. So that's my polite way of saying
very good.
Awful. And I'm very glad that it's over. So
way to go.
Gary, what do you got?
Well, thank you, Jordan, before Gary goes.
Yeah. Thanks, Jordan.
Jordan.
I missed it. What did Jordan do? I was ranting and raving, and
he gave us a super chat. So
hey,
massive thank you to Jordan.
So, I agree with what you guys were saying. I'll say this though. It was wise to wait a few days before we actually gave a reaction to that game. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, yeah, I wanted to break stuff. I'm just being honest, man. That was one of the worst freaking games I've ever seen Utah play. Let's be honest. Garbage.
Ever. I can't remember a game like that.
Garbage. I'm just now, but let me get more focused. That's unfair to the defense because our defense played good enough to win the game. Come on. We got to be honest. 14 points. Yeah, should they pitch a shutout? Oh, I guess you can always say that. But if watching that game, the defense played fine to win that game. This is all on the offense, in my view. 90%, 95% of it's on the offense. Was there stuff to go around? Yeah, but I'm with you, James. I appreciate Barnes. I appreciate what he did all year. I thought him coming back to play was going to be a good thing. But that was one of the most horrendous outings of a college quarterback I've ever seen. Correct me if I'm wrong. That was 55 yards in that entire game. Is that what he threw? 55
I haven't
yards.
pulled up. I haven't even looked.
Freak, dude.
I know
I
we
could
had
have thrown for
10
55 yards. I get the injuries. I get who was there. Look, Northwestern, if you look at who opted out and all the stuff, they had like only 3 guys. So that was Northwestern's team. There is no way on the face of this earth that we should have lost to Northwestern. Now with that defensive output, if Barnes would have played a C- game, we would have won that game. That to me was an F. That was an F. I mean,
it was an F. I don't want to put everything on Barnes. He did not play well, but the play calling as well. I've been a defendant of Andy Ludwig all season long. We have said numerous times he can only call the plays based off his personnel, but there were so many times where you're just going, what am I watching? Like, what am I watching? They were unprepared. There was no enthusiasm whatsoever. It was flat. It was ugly. The defense, I'll agree with you, Gary. The defense came out and looked pretty dang good. But this is a Northwestern team that Illinois put up like 42 points on, right? They had to win their last 3 games just to become bowl eligible. This is not Penn State that we played last year. I mean, this is far
not even their 4th string.
And I'm watching this going, where's the team that took Washington to the edge, right? Where's that quarterback that dominated that first half of that game? Where's that guy? Where's the guy that beat USC on the road? And then I come into this game thinking, okay, Northwestern's not great. My score prediction was 27-17, I think. I thought we could put some points up. And we put up 7. We were lucky to get 7.
Unacceptable.
It was awful.
I mean,
awful.
I put it more on Barnes than I do the play calling. I know people get so frustrated with the coaching staff. I know, and I do too. I get frustrated with Ludwig too. I'm not saying that I don't, but unfortunately, I feel like Barnes sort of regressed through the season instead of progressing to get better. It's like the things that he had issues with, he never got better at. Specifically, holding onto the ball for too damn long. He won't
no
get
anticipation
rid of it.
either.
The last play of the game, we had a chance, 4th down. The guy was open, and Barnes holds onto the ball for far too long, misses him, game over. Like, that's just one example. And so it is frustrating. I appreciate everything Barnes did for us this season, but I just feel like he just never got better at what he needed to get better at.
He got worse.
I feel like he got worse, and it was
There's
really
no way
hard
to have a month of preparation, and that's what we get. You're right. That last play was representative of Barnes as a quarterback. The guys on the announcers even broke it down. When Money Parks, I think it was Parks, wasn't it? He went,
Clark was open.
turned around. That ball needed to be out on time. The moment he makes that break, ball's there. He catches it. The problem with Barnes is he waits for the guy to make the move or make the twist. He's open, then throws it and allowed the D to get on him. And that was the story of the whole game. Plus, he missed dudes that were wide open for touchdowns or massive gains. The guy would make a cut, start whatever the play was, a dig route, an out route, whatever, crossing. Instead of passing or throwing that ball on time at the cut, he waits for the guy to make the move, then he throws it, so it's late. Okay, so look, it was a terrible game, and yeah, JJ got hurt. That was a factor. Glover fumbled. That was a factor. We had 3 turnovers. They had no turnovers. But for me, with all of that and everything else, if we would have had a C+ effort from the quarterback, we would have won that game. Now, as far as coaching goes, I don't like to criticize our coaching that much. I try to stay away from it because, whatever. I'm a fan. But I'll say this. You have to be honest about it. If we had a month to prepare, and if Barnes is late on his throws and he's misreading the plays and stuff like that, well, that's coaching. That is freaking coaching. It's like, hey, Barnes, you can't hold on to the ball. Now, I guess he could have, during the game just totally blow it. But I'm just saying it falls back on the coaches when you watch some of these plays unfold and Barnes is late and some of his judgments. Dude, that's coaching. That's how I see it. And I'll say this and shut up for a second. But at the end of the game, we had not been moving the ball at all. It was horrendous. Yet it felt like we were trying. This is when my thought process at the end of the game, roughly 6 minutes or something like that, we had the ball. Mm-hmm. Typical Whit ball, we're going to run, you take the clock off and do whatever at the end. I feel like that's what we were doing. But the problem is this wasn't a typical game because we were garbage and we couldn't even move the ball, but we were running clock. And what was worrying me is we're going to run the clock out. And if the rest of the game was indicative of what was going to happen, we're going to have to give them the ball back. So we're going to have some time left. Well, we ran out the clock. Plus, we had to burn a timeout because it was a mess up. It wasn't even for a good reason. Putting all those things together, man, there were some coaching blunders in my view throughout the game, at the end of the game. And Barnes, he was bad, and I have to attribute at least some of that to coaching. There you go. That's my take.
Yeah.
I got one other thing to say, but let's go through that then we'll move on. But go ahead.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I'm never one who's going to criticize the coaching staff, things like that. I mean, anyone who watches this knows, I'm a huge Whittingham lover. I will support him everywhere. That was kind of the first game that I left it watching going, I felt like Whittingham didn't have the desire to win. It was weird. It was a different feeling watching. So. Yeah, everything you just talked about, Gary. I know that's typical Whit ball to just hold on to the ball and run out the clock, but you do that if you're winning. We were losing. We needed to go down and score. There was nothing aggressive about that. We weren't trying to win. Nice. It felt like we had just resigned to that this game was over. We weren't going to try. I don't know. My thought is everything we talked about in last week's episode with the timing of how everything is with college football right now. We know, we've talked to people who are very close to the program, that the coaching staff are the most stressed they've ever been, ever. And for that to happen with Whittingham, he's been doing this for 20 plus years. That says a lot, just with transfer, NFL. Then you have the signing day that's a couple weeks ago. So you're trying to recruit the high school kids and you're trying to prep for this bowl game that really, how do you get jacked for and excited for? And I know that this is happening to everyone. It's not just Utah, but I felt like the coaching staff just sort of gave up. I really do. I hate saying that because I don't ever like feeling that, but that's what it felt like to me watching the end of the game, is that we kind of had just resigned to that it was over and we just wanted to get out of there. I don't
What
know.
are your thoughts on, so after the game, the whole game, I thought we were going to see Rose. I thought that they were going to, because just so those who don't know, Rose could have played. A bowl game does not affect a medical redshirt, so he was eligible to play in that game. We never saw him, which was incredibly disappointing. I would have thought after 10 yards in one half, we would have seen him. What's the downside? And then after the game, and I don't know if it's Witt just being Witt. I don't know if it's the truth. I don't really care, to be quite honest. But to come out and say, Rose, he wasn't ready, right? He wasn't ready for it.
I think he's
Okay,
being
well,
honest.
You're telling me that he was less ready than what I just watched? Like that again, that falls on the coaching staff. I think that Bryn's right. I'm the biggest Whittingham homer that there is. I think he does a tremendous job. I think he is a great coach and a perfect fit for the University of Utah. The reality is we went to 4 straight Pac-12 championship games and we won 2 of them. That's pretty damn good. Okay.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I'm not sitting here saying that we need to get rid of Whittingham after one crazy, weird, terrible season, all that stuff. I'm just saying, going into that game, how is it that is the product that comes out? And when there is an option of another quarterback who's on the sideline warming up with his helmet on, ready to go, he's less prepared than that. That to me is inexcusable. I mean, honestly, Rose, it's not like Rose got to the program 2 weeks ago. He's been there for all season. I know he hasn't played, but those are the things that really got to me. Put him in. What's the worst that can happen? He throws for 8 yards? I don't know. Batari comes in and throws a screen pass, and it goes for 20 yards, and everyone's going, oh, it's not that hard. Why can't we just do that sort of stuff? So, to me, that's frustrating. Again, I'm glad it's over. I think that, Bryn, I think you're right. We know some things. We've heard some things that this has been a really tough season and an incredibly tough offseason for the coaching staff. For Whittingham specifically, the toughest one of his career. I think there's a lot that goes into it. But every program is going through this sort of stuff. This is not unique to Utah. I'm not making an excuse that Utah is unique. Every time I get on Twitter, there's a new guy transferring out, a 4-star guy here and a 5-star guy there, moving and leaving and shifting and transferring. So it's not unique to Utah. It's just, man, that was frustrating. I glad it's over. Crappy way to end the year.
Let me say this now that we've said all this. This bowl game is an entity of itself, as most bowl games are anymore, except for the Final Four teams. Because people are coming and going all the time. What we saw on the field is not even close to what Utah's going to be next year. We're not even going to know what's next year. So what I'm saying, and even in the chat right here, and what I've seen on Twitter in particular, I've seen all sorts of people completely trashing everybody, fire everybody. Our quarterback room's going to suck next year, and on and on and on and on. And my view, I disagree with most of it. For me, it's about perspective. And the perspective is this particular game, under the circumstances of the players who have already left, who are injured, going to the NFL, the portal, and fully expecting Barnes to play better than this in this particular game. This isn't what our team is going to be. This idea that we're not getting transfers or good players coming to the Utah that someone said in the chat is bullcrap. Utah's getting some solid players. Our quarterback room, let's see. I think Cam Rising's pretty freaking good. and he's coming back. Isaac Wilson, he could have come into the game and thrown for 400 yards probably right now. He's coming into the program next year. There's a dude out of California, forgot his name. The quarterback room is going to be just fine. We've had some great recruits. There's some good transfers. I am not one, and I'll go to the Coach Witt thing. People are slamming him. I'm not saying get rid of Witt. No way. I'm not implying that whatsoever. The criticism I'm having is what happened on this particular game. What happened in this game isn't really even, I mean, they're connected, but it's not even really connected to the season because of the guys who opted out and the injuries and so forth. This was the bowl game and how you had to deal with this particular game. This is not Utah for the upcoming season. If you think it is, then you're not informed. This is what it is. So I'm all in with Witt. I'm with you, James. Think about it. We've been in the Pac-12 championship game 4 freaking years in a row. We went to the Rose Bowl twice. Okay, this year it fell off the edge. Just perspective, please. We're going to be fine in my view. I'm all in with Witt. Someone asked the question, who are you going to get?
Yeah.
Nobody. Better. I mean, I'm all for Witt. I'm just saying, okay, punch the brakes. I'm talking about this game. I think next year we're going to be just fine when all the dust settles and the players come in and the guys get healthy. Yeah, we got some holes to fill, but I think we're going to be fine. So my perspective is only up on this game. Next season, we're not even going to know, as with all teams, who the teams are until the spring, because there's another portal in the spring. So until that comes and goes, we don't even know what our teams are going to look like. And everybody in the chat who's not a Utah fan, they don't know what their teams are going to be like until the end of the spring. All right.
We kind of segued into it a little bit. Let's leave the Vegas Bowl behind. Hallelujah. If we want to talk about Vegas, let's talk about the Raiders.
Right on, baby.
Just hold on real quick. I got to add to something real fast. So I agree with everything you just said, Gary. If you sat down and watched that Utah team and that was your one introduction, and because I saw it all over Twitter, right? I saw the 12. Oh, this is the Utah team that's coming. They think that is not the Utah team that's coming. Okay, I'm here to tell you that's not who's going to be there next year. There's a ton of talent that's going to be new and returning. So, but I'm driving today and I'm listening to some national people and they're talking about the NFL, right? And they're talking about Gary's going to vomit. They're talking about Kansas City, right? Talking about the Chiefs.
Of course they are.
They're talking about the dynasty of the Chiefs, right? And the Chiefs have been in the Super Bowl 3 out of the last 4 years. They've won 2 Super Bowls, all this stuff. And it got me thinking, and I'm sitting here going, okay, you put that into the same perspective as Utah. Utah went, the COVID year, we don't count it. Utah went to 4 straight Pac-12 championship games and won 2 of them. You put those into the same sentence as what the Chiefs did, you could say that it's that same dynasty idea. Utah has been one of the top 3 programs in the Pac-12. Okay. I fully expect that to return next year. Okay. The amount of talent we got coming back, the new guys, someone said it, the tight end room, the running back room. I know we just lost JJ and that sucks. We'll be fine. The defense is going to be outstanding. This season was weird. It was terrible in so many ways. That bowl game sucked, and I'm glad it's over. That is not Utah going forward. And obviously, we've got tons of time to get into that. But I just wanted to add to Gary's little rant there.